Alright, another month, another reading wrap up. It's going so fast, but I've read a bit more this month, so I'm quite happy. And let's talk about this. So, hi friends, this is March 2025, all that I've read. I'm just gonna get my notebook because I don't want to forget anything. Like, I've read thousands of books this month, not the case, but I've cheated. You'll have to let me know when we get there if you count this as books in your reading goals or if you omit them from your reading goals. But the first book I've read in March was kind of a leftover from February. It was my French book of the month, and in English it will be My Phantom Husband. It's written by Marie Dariussec. I'm French, I don't even know how to pronounce her last name. And it was translated by Hélène Sterenson in 1988. And how to summarize this book? It is a writing exercise. If you are not a literature student, do not read this book. That's obviously I can put it. It was a pain to read. I think it took me 10 days. There's another book that took me 10 days to read this month, but ended up being a 5-star, so it doesn't mean everything. But this one was really a pain. It's a very short book. It has what, like 100 pages? Yeah, 150 pages. It's in French, my mother tongue, so I was expecting it to be quite fast. It was really a pain to read. We're basically following a character, a husband. By the way, apologies for the cars. It's raining a lot. It's past 5 p.m, so that's when I have traffic in front of my windows, and with the rain it's very noisy, but it is what it is. Anyway, we are following our main characters on the day that her husband disappears and how she kind of struggle and accept that disappearance and the absence of her husband. She's super passive. There is no proactive search of the husband, just like her accepting it, waiting for the time to pass, looking for her husband in her empty rooms of a flat. Yeah, that's it. It's for me very much an exercise of style because there is a lot of metamorphosis, a lot of how we're trying to use words to translate feelings. It could have been a bit more interesting if there was, I don't know, a payoff at the end of the book, and I didn't find that. So that's it. That was my French book of the month. At least it was out of the way, and then I could focus on English books, and I've read quite a few that I liked a lot. I actually forgot that I read this one. I read Legends&Lattes by Travis Baldry. This is actually, funny thing, a book that I've started last year and put on hold when I learned about my pregnancy because I had so many things in my brain that I could not read anymore, so that's a book I put on hold. And I just picked it up this month where I left it, and I was not lost in the story, so I don't know if it's because the story was quite simple enough that I still had it in mind, which rarely happened, but it was quite the case here, or if it's also because the cozy feel just welcome you back, so it's very much easier to ease back into a story that you've left on the side. Anyway, Legends&Lattes, I liked it. It's very, like I was saying, cozy feel, but I also like how we do have a little bit at stake, especially towards the second hand of the book. I find it quite interesting. It's the first time I'm reading a book where we're very focusing on how to set up a coffee shop and how to run that coffee shop. So it kind of made me think of a cozy game. Except that this time you were not the one making the decision and you were watching the characters make the decision. What I also very much liked about this book is the cast of characters. They're very diverse. We don't have humans at all. It's all very more like creatures and so a bit more creative, which was quite interesting. Yeah, it was really a heartwarming stories. I like the main character, Viv. I like how she desires for a more simple life and how she still try to protect the one that she likes, and how she managed to surround herself by good people. And I actually very much like the kind of magical element of all that settings and setup and how it's explained at the end of the book. I think it was quite interesting on how sometimes you don't need a cheat code, you just need to be surrounded by good people. So maybe next time I play like The Sims, for example, I'll let my cheat code on the side and just try to enjoy the game, basically. So Legends&Lattes, I really like it. And I know it's a duology now. I don't know if there's a plan to do a third book. I don't think, however, that I will read the book 2. I forgot the name of it, because I don't feel like we need a book 2. So I need to look into it. I actually haven't researched a lot if book 2 was around the same characters or if it was a completely new story. So I need to check that. But it's definitely not a series that I consider that I have to finish now that I've started it. Next, oh yeah, I just wrote that review so that will come up on my blog at the same time as this video on YouTube. It is Gwen and Art Are Not in Love by Lex Crotcher. And oh my god, I so needed that story. It was so light. Should I have read it when I have so many books in my TBR? Maybe not, but it's done. And it was great, and I do recommend it to you if you're looking for a heartwarming romance with a bit of political intrigue at stake and some LGBTQ plus, I was going to say romance again, but yeah, relationship. So it's actually quite interesting to get the story where we have an historical setup and LGBTQ plus romance. It shows that love in all shapes and forms exists since the beginning of times, and it's not something new. So that was quite cool. What is Gwen and Art Are Not in Love about? It's kind of a Arthurian retelling. We're following Gwendoline, our main characters, who has been promised since birth in marriage to Arthur, the son of a noble. Gwendoline is the princess of the country, Arthur is the son of a noble, and she just hates him. Hate him, and kind of want to forget about that arranged marriage until it's time for her to get married. So we have Arthur coming to the court of Camelot for the summer, and they hate each other, but they stumble upon each other's secret and they start developing that very uncanny but quite precious friendship and helping each other. Gwendoline is interested by a female knight that is quite of odd thing at the court because she's the only woman knight of Camelot, and Arthur is going to help her actually, and also her brother, the heir to the throne, Gabriel, to kind of accept who they are, and that sometimes you need to fight for your desires, especially when it comes to love. So that's a bit the premise of the story. I really liked the romance. I didn't know it was an LGBTQ plus romance because I never read the synopsis of a book, but I have to say that it was brought so naturally without overdoing it that I extremely enjoyed it. I will not, because of that, it's not a book that I will classify as this is a book for the LGBTQ plus community only. I found it quite of a universal story, and I don't know what in any case an LGBTQ plus only book is, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say very clumsily. But yeah, really like the romance. That felt very natural, not pushed by the writers. All the characters made very much sense, and they were each different and shining on their own, but quite like a good group, a good dynamic. And what I also like is that we're getting that political intrigue I was speaking of, and so it's not just a romance, it's also something a bit more with its own universe, its own stakes and different factions at the royal court. Anyway, it was Jeff Keys. Just for this reason I really liked it. I think I finished the book in one day, so that says a lot. Alright, next one, I actually have the physical copy with me here, and that is A Wishing Game by Meg Shaffer, which is my favorite book of March, so that was a very surprising read and a great one. I did not read it as fast as Gwen and Arthur, but I've cried, and if I cry for a book and enjoy it and make me sing, it usually becomes a favorite. So that was the case for The Wishing Game. I don't know if you rate books, but I'm following kind of the pitch metrics from Erin Smith, which mean that you evaluate plot, enjoyment, artistry, which is the writing style, characters, and then the heart, if it speaks to you or not. And it got 5 on all those categories, so we have a 5 out of 5, a real 5-star here. Really loved it. You might have heard about The Wishing Game, because when it came out it was a bit everywhere on social media. I'm gonna read you the synopsis for once. Lucy found solace in Jack Masterson's Clock Island book. Now a teacher's aide, she shares her love of reading with Christopher, a former student she would give anything to adopt if only she could afford it. Just when Lucy is about to give up, the famously reclusive writer announces that he's finally written a new book and is holding a contest at his home for the real Clock Island to win the only copy. Winning the most sought-after book in the world could change Lucy and Christopher's life, but with wily opponents, the book distractingly handsome illustrator, and Jack Matterson himself to contend with, that won't be as easy as she wishes. So that's what the wishing game is about, and it was amazing. I was hooked with this book from the prologue, to start, to get go. I was also very curious from the synopsis itself about the game and how the contestant could fight and win that unpublished copy. I really like Jack's characters. Is kind of a mix between a fairy godmother, Santa Claus, and a trickster in a way, because he speaks in riddles. He likes to do riddles and enigmas and plays and kind of force people to look for an answer within themselves. But he also very much wants to help the people around him, and is a very strong advocate of children and all of this. And it's like a grandpa as well. So it was a very character that I found very entertaining and that I really like, that I would like to meet in real life and speak with and kind of comfort a little bit, because he also has his traumatic past. So that checks. He's not the main character, he has no point of view in the story. We see him a lot across Lucy's and Hugo's, or two main characters' point of view. But for me, he is the main characters, and he is the one winning at the end of the book. So I'm not gonna say more about him, but he was perfect. Lucy, I had a bit of a trouble with her. I found like her eagerness and determination to adopt Christopher's was very noble, but also a bit naive when she doesn't have any means to do so, and so I found her a bit whiny at the beginning. But as we get to know her, we understand why she is so adamant in that pursuit, and how for her offering an environment, a loving environment to a child is so important. She has her own childhood trauma, and it was extremely interesting to dive into that, especially when she has a heart-to-heart with a sister, and how we get to learn a bit more. And I'm out of battery for some reason, so I have put some juice in the camera. Hugo is a third main character, I'll say. He was kind of the tortured artist archetype, but at the same time very loyal, very listening. I did like him, and I like the fact that we got some of his point of view to get a bit away from Lucy's stress. Overall, the rhythm and the balance between the two point of views were perfectly well done, and what I really liked about this book is the different messages that we have around childhood trauma, foster care, what a child needs. Is it a stable environment? Is it to be fed? Or does that also include a bit of attention and some love? So I really like this topic, but I think the two biggest messages of this book are around dreams. If you want the dream to come true, you have to go for it, face your fears and work for it. And as well around children books. It's a very big kind of love letter to children books, and how they help kids in moments of difficulties, but as well help shape the adults they will become. And that made me think a little bit about my children books, which books are coming up in mind, and that I would say like are really like a big thing in my life. I've talked in my ABC tag about Harry Potter, which were a huge book series and something that I shared with my dad. So yeah, quite curious about what are the children books that shape you and you will kind of still remember in your adult life and reminisce about. So let me know in the comments if you have any. But overall, if you like heartwarming stories and magical realism and fun family tropes, I will very much recommend The Wishing Game to you. Alright, after The Wishing Game, I had a moment where I got like sucked in by an anime that my husband introduced to me. And usually what happens when I get very engrossed in an anime is that I can't wait for the next episode and I have to go to the more original source, and that was the case with Solo Leveling. I did not go to the novels. That would have been way too much reading for me, but I did binge read the mangas, all I think 13 of them, I think. I'm not very sure how much I've read in 2 days, but I've read and finished Solo Leveling, at least the main story, and then I was bored so I stopped. And yeah, it's a great way to pass time. It's very gripping. I don't know if you are animes fan or mangas fan. I actually don't know. Do you count mangas within your reading goal of the year? Because thanks to Solo Leveling, I've read 27 books this year so far. And if I did not read Solo Leveling in March, I will be at 14 books. So it did make a big difference, and I will count them because personally I think that I still spend a lot of time on it instead of doing other things that I was supposed to do. I spend time reading, so I always count it in. I think last year or 2 years ago I was counting 5 manga equal 1 books, and I've decided this year that I don't care. It's reading is reading. So 13 manga read this month. That's like popping up a bit my reading number, my book number. And yeah, if you like portal fantasy, I was going to say urban fantasy, but I think it's more portal fantasy, kind of game-like stories, I will definitely recommend it to you. I think the mangas are a bit more in detail than the anime. That's always the case. And if you don't want to wait for season 3 of the anime that's coming up only in 2026, go read the manga. They're great. They are great. And yeah, that was my little break in more serious reading between brackets, but I mean, reading is reading, right? Alright, last book I've read is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This is a book I'm reading for an upcoming vlog, so I'm gonna be a bit more brief on it, but look at all the tags I've put in this book. It's very rare that I annotate book, and here I even, let me see if I have an example, not too old, yeah, here I even highlighted, which, if you know me, you know I don't like writing in books, so when that happens, it's because this book is either sensational or making me think a lot, and that was definitely the case with Parable of the Sower. This is a very old book. It's a sci-fi dystopian story. It's the first volume of a duology. We're following our main character Lauren as she is kind of trying to figure out what she can do with her life in the United States that is a mess. We don't get really why this country is becoming so bad and so dangerous, so violent. There is almost no more states, no more government, everyone is fending off for themselves. And there is a deep, I'm sorry, it's beeping everywhere. And there is a very deep reflection on faith, religion and philosophy and what makes us a community. That was really interesting and awful. It took 10 days to read it. So like I was saying at the beginning of the video, sometimes when you take a lot of time, it's not because the book is bad, it was a lot to process. But I'm very glad I've read it. I've rated it 5 stars as well. I think there is a few parallels with what we're going through in the world at the moment, and a bit with what's happening in the States. So yeah, if you're an American reader, you might be very much interested into that book. If you're not an American reader but you do enjoy sci-fi and dystopias, I do recommend it. Just, it's getting really fast, okay? There is not that much romance and heartwarming and light-hearted events and everything. It's heavy all the time, so be ready for that. But it was a great read, and I'm very happy to discover what is apparently the master in science fiction with Octavia E. Butler. So yeah, that was a great read as well. Alright, that's it. That was my read of March 2025. Well, not this one, this is another book. That was my read of March 2025. I'm preparing you a vlog about BookTuber's favorite read that hopefully is going to come out soon. I have a few more books to read, and yeah, what am I reading at the moment? Oh, I'm reading a French political non-fiction book about the World War situation. So that's fun, and it's a good continuation with this book. But then I'm planning to read I don't know, whatever I picked in my TBR. But if you have some magical realism recommendation, I might take them in because I need a bit of more light-hearted and magical reading, kinda. Anyway, if you stayed until the end of this video, thank you very much. I hope to see you in the next one. In the meantime, don't forget to comment, subscribe, like, and enjoy your reading. Ciao!